All right, the construction of the ANTAHKARANA in the Aryan race, or the present. I would like to pause here and make a few remarks on this relatively new process of building the ANTAHKARANA. It has been known and followed by those who were training for affiliation with the hierarchy, but it has not been given out before to the general public. There are two things which it is essential that the student should note. One is that unless it is borne in mind that we are concerned with energy, and with energy which must be scientifically used, this whole teaching will prove futile. Secondly, it must be remembered that we are dealing with a technique and process which are dependent upon the use of the creative imagination. When these two factors are brought together consciously and deliberately, the factor of energy substance and the factor of planned impulse, you have started a creative process which will be productive of major results. The human being lives in a world of varied energies, which are sometimes expressing themselves as dynamic, positive energies, as receptive, negative energies, or as magnetic, attractive forces. An understanding of this statement will substantiate that made by HPB that matter is spirit at its lowest point, and the reverse is equally true. The whole process is one of establishing constructive relations between negative and positive energies and the subsequent production of magnetic force. This is the creative process. It is true of the activity of a solar logos, of a planetary logos, and of a human being, the only conscious creators in the universe. It must prove true of the disciple who is attempting to bring into a constructive relation the monad and the human expression in the three worlds of human evolution. There has been much emphasis upon the life of the soul and its expression upon the physical plane. This has been necessary and a part of the evolutionary development of the human consciousness. The kingdom of souls must eventually give place to the rule of the spirit. The energy of the hierarchy must become a force receptive to the energy of Shambhala, just as the force of humanity has to become receptive to the energy of the kingdom of souls. Today, all three processes are going on simultaneously, though the receptivity of the hierarchy to the second aspect of the Shambhala energy is only now beginning to be recognizable. The hierarchy has for long been receptive to the third or creative aspect of the Shambhala energy, and at some very distant period it will be responsive to the first aspect of that same energy. The triple nature of the divine manifestation must also express itself as a duality. This can be understood in a faint way when the disciple realizes that after the third initiation, he too must learn to function as a duality, monad, spirit, and form, matter, in direct rapport with the consciousness aspect, the mediating soul being absorbed into both of these two aspects of divine expression, but not functioning itself as a middle factor. When this has been achieved, the true nature of nirvana will be comprehended, the beginning of that endless way which leads to the one. This is the way whereon duality is resolved into unity, the way that members of the hierarchy are seeking to tread and for which they are preparing. The initial steps towards bringing about this dualism is the building of the ANTAHKARANA, and this is consciously undertaken only when the disciple is preparing for the second initiation. As I have already said, there are literally thousands so preparing, because it can be assumed that all earnest and true aspirants and disciples who work undeviatingly for spiritual advancement with pure motive and who are oriented unswervingly towards the soul have taken the first initiation. This simply connotes the birth of the infant Christ within the heart, speaking symbolically. There should be many who are preparing to begin this task of building the rainbow bridge, and who, under the influence of the ageless wisdom, are grasping the necessity and the importance of the revelation which this process conveys. What I am here writing has, therefore, a definite and useful purpose. My task has been, for a long time, the giving out, in book form, information and the next stage of intelligent and spiritual recognition for humanity. Therefore, again, the understanding of the method of building the ANTAHKARANA is essential if humanity is to move forward as planned, and in this moving forward, the disciples and aspirants must and do form the vanguard. Humanity will awaken steadily as a whole to the incoming spiritual urge, an overwhelming impulse towards spiritual light and towards a major orientation will take place. Just as the individual disciple has to reverse himself upon the wheel of life and tread the way counterclockwise, so must humanity, and so humanity will. The 2/3 who will make the goal of evolution in this world cycle are already beginning to do so. In the process, however, the third divine aspect, that of the creative actor, comes into activity. It was so in the creative process where the tangible universe was concerned. It must also be when the individual disciple becomes the creating agent. For aeons, he has built and has used his vehicles of manifestation in the three worlds. Then came a time when advanced people began to create upon the mental plane. They dreamed dreams, they saw a vision, they contacted intangible beauty, they touched the mind of God and returned to earth with an idea. To this idea they gave form and became creators upon the mental planet. They became artists in some form of creative effort. In the task of building the ANTAHKARANA, the disciple has to work also on mental levels, and that which he there constructs will be of so fine a substance that it may not and cannot appear on physical levels. Because of his fixed orientation, that which he builds will move upwards towards the center of life and not downwards towards the center of consciousness or towards light appearance. Herein lies the difficulty for the beginner. He has, so to speak, to work in the dark and is not in a position to verify the existence of that which he is attempting to construct. His physical brain is unable to register his creation as an accomplished fact. He has to depend entirely upon the proved technique of the work outlined and to proceed by faith. The only evidence of success may be slow in coming, for the sensitivity of the brain is involved, and frequently, where there is very real success, the brain cells are not of the caliber which can register it. The possible evidences at this stage may be a flash of the spiritual intuition or the sudden realization of the will to good in a dynamic and group form. It may also be simply an ability to understand and to make others understand certain spiritual and occult fundamentals. It may be a facility of revelation, both receptive and conditioning or distributing, and so world effective. I am attempting to make a very abstruse subject clear, and words prove inadequate. I can but outline to you process and method and a consequent hope for the future. On your side, you can only experiment, obey, have confidence in the experience of those who teach, and then wait patiently for results. Very interesting. And we'll leave that there for today, and then we'll move on to the 6 stages. All right, have a good one.